And joining us now in studio, Zach Bussey, creator of a website about Ontario's sexiest election candidates. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, I'm not going to pretend that this is the most serious issue going on in the campaign, but it's the last day and we're going to have a little fun here. Where'd you get the idea for this?
The idea actually happened, I was sitting around with a couple of friends at a coffee shop. We were just talking about the politics during the federal election. And a bunch of them were saying, oh, you know, I don't really understand politics. I can't get that first step into politics. I said, well, why not? I said, well, it's just, there's a lot of complicated issues that you have to deal with right off the bat. So, you know, they were just saying, you don't have anything that kind of gets us to that level. And I said, well, you know, there's a very simple way to do this. We can actually, you know, I can put together a little list of candidates, the sexiest candidates, and you guys can vote on them every day. So, you know, you'll get to learn who they are, their different political parties, the ridings that they're in, as well as you'll be able to vote. So, you know, it sets that kind of habit where you'll be able to take that first step.
So you think appealing to the sort of sex appeal of the candidates was a way to really open the door?
That's exactly what I thought.
Really?
You know? I think so. I think that for people who don't have any previous knowledge or any kind of interest in politics, getting that first step is important.
Do you know if this has done that?
I do, actually.
How do you know?
We know from two different ways. First, we track the number of clicks that people actually click onto the different candidates' profiles. So we've been able to see that over 6,000 people have actually clicked on a different link, so that's either Twitter, Facebook, or their different websites, to find out more about the candidates. The second way that I know is just by email. There's been people who've actually contacted me saying, hey, you know, really appreciate what you've done here. I've never voted before, but I saw a candidate that's in my riding, learned about them.
Come on, through your site?
Through my site.
Well, we just saw the matchups there. How do you decide who's going to be matched up against whom?
So what we did is, with that, I kind of took the 500 candidates, so 100 roughly from each political party, as well as we were able to find about 100 candidates from the various fringe parties, such as Freedom, the kind of libertarians and them. And from there, narrowed it down to 100. And then me, two female friends, and one male friend of mine, we sat down and we just said, yep, nope, yep, nope. And we narrowed it down to 32 men and 32 women.
You know what? Paul McKeever, who's the leader of the Freedom Party,
Yep.
will be able to tell his grandchildren someday, I beat Dalton McGuinty as the sexiest candidate.
That's right, he can.
But not necessarily on the ballot where it counts.
That's true. That's true, but you know, it's a step in the right direction in terms of, you know, giving him some exposure as well to potentially people who haven't heard about the Freedom Party.
How many people voted on your website?
To date, we've had 150,000 people who voted.
You've got to be kidding me.
No,
150,000?
150,000 votes.
And did that meet your expectations?
It exceeded them. I was hoping to get 100,000 because from the federal election we had a 250,000 votes. So I was hoping that Ontario alone we'd be able to get 100,000.
Yeah,
so
we should remind people, you did this for the feds as well.
I did do it for the feds as well.
You matched, in some cases, candidates who were kind of older against some who were younger.
Yep.
There's some kind of unfair matchups there. Did people crying foul?
It was completely by random. We took the list of all the candidates, put into a random generator, and that spit out the list.
Okay. Any candidates call you up and say, you know what, I don't want to partake?
Nope.
Nobody?
Nobody. Every candidate has been very supportive of the idea. They've all said, you know, this is great. Thank you very much for doing this. It's giving me extra exposure. Had candidates who have said, you know, just got this write-up in the paper. We're directly responsible from your site. So,
come on.
yeah, dead serious. People are actually getting exposure from this as well. It's a fun news story.
Okay, remind us who won during the federal election earlier this year.
Ilona Nemchik from Manitoba won for the Liberals, and Michael Dewar from Halifax won from NDP.
So they were the sort of prom king and queen.
They were. They were.
Okay. And do you want to, shall we use this opportunity for you to...
Sure, we can do that.
And
absolutely.
do our Academy Awards thing here?
We can do that.
And the winner is?
And the winner is, for the men, Nick Spohr from the NDP. And the women is Lori Holloway as a Liberal.
Do you know where they're running?
I don't know. Not offhand. There's so many candidates I've had to look at. I can't remember directly.
Nick Spohr and Lori Holloway.
Yes.
So do they get a trophy or something, or what happens now?
Well, hopefully they'll get a little more exposure. They'll be able to add that to their resume and walk into the ballots tomorrow and say, hey, sexiest candidate.
Well, now, of course, at the end of the day, this is sort of good, clean fun. But for them, I bet they hope this actually translates into votes. Can you tell whether or not, from the federal election experience, whether their being the sexiest candidates actually got those two candidates more votes?
Well, I know two facts for sure. With the Alona from Manitoba, she actually performed better, I believe, than any other Liberal candidate has in her riding.
She didn't win, though.
She didn't win, though, unfortunately. And also, one of our Green candidates last year who was in the finals actually had more traffic to her website than Elizabeth May did.
Are you going to run someday?
Just so I can be on my own list, yeah. Maybe I will.
Oh, you're pretty cocky, aren't you? You think you'd make your own list?
I hope so. I don't know if I get past the first or second round, but, hopefully.
Now, where is your sort of interest in politics these days?
All over the place. I love politics. I think politics is really interesting.
With federal or provincial or what?
I like provincial.
Provincial?
I like provincial, yeah. I think
So you got your eye on running provincially someday?
Someday, maybe you might see me on a ballot somewhere.
You're 25 years old now.
25, yes.
So at what point are you going to give this some serious consideration?
I'd lie if I hadn't already said that I'd seriously considered it. But let's take a look at 2015 maybe.
2015?
Yeah.
Next time out the gate.
Maybe.
Where would you run?
Hopefully Toronto Danforth. That's the riding where I currently live. And
For what party?
that's a good question. I might have to run as an independent.
Well, independents don't have much of a chance of winning, you know.
I don't know.
You want to win?
Well, I think so. I think I got a chance. There's always a chance.
I think it's funny that you've done this and that you haven't got any complaints, because I tell you, I've heard complaints.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You want me to share some of those with you?
Absolutely, please.
I not regarding the provincial, but during the federal earlier this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard members of parliament talking about it, and I heard members of parliament say, "Can you believe they voted for that person?" or "Can you believe this person voted for that?" Surely I'm better looking than that. And this, I mean, you've kind of stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest here, you know. You weren't concerned about that at all?
I'm not concerned about that. I think that if people are talking about politics, regardless of what they're talking about politics in regards to, I think that's a good thing, whether it's the candidates or just people in general.
Now, here's the sort of somewhat more serious question out of this. We don't have an absence of triviality in media nowadays covering election campaigns. There's a dearth of kind of serious stuff out there. Is there any part of you, and I know this is good, clean fun and all of that kind of stuff, but is there any part of you that is concerned that you are contributing to the kind of trivialization of politics, democracy, and so on?
I mean, I think that good ideas can be sexy. That's what I'll say first of all. But in terms of trivializing, I don't think so. I mean, if you look back to kind of history, if you go back to the 60s even, with the first televised debate, where you had Nixon and Kennedy, people who listened to the debate thought that Nixon won. But people who watched the debate, which was on the first televised debate, thought that Kennedy had won. So I think that, looks do play an important part in politics. I think that, you have to be charismatic. Looks does matter.
I'm not denying that. Clearly looks and presentation and all that is clearly important. But do you have any plans to kind of take a next step, which is, okay, we're having fun with the sexiest candidate stuff. Maybe next time we'll actually sneak a little policy in here and see what people think about that?
That's potentially something that we could do in future. I'm not close to any ideas, really. I think that right now, there's a lot of people, especially young people, and that's typically the people who come to my blog and read my blog. As I said, there's a lot of apathy. People aren't sure how to get started in politics. It's a little difficult sometimes. You have all these different issues hit you at once. For somebody who has no previous interest, talking about the issues might not necessarily get them that first step.
You're running or not running, you're voting in Toronto Danforth.
That's where I vote, yeah.
And one of the finalists was Marisa Sterling, who was the Liberal candidate in Toronto Danforth.
That's correct.
And she didn't win.
She didn't win.
So you realize next time she bumps into you, you're probably going to have some problems, mister.
I probably will.
I'm going to have some explaining to do.
I'm going to have to start working on my charm for that one right now.
Okay. Well, Zach, we're glad you came in today.
Thank you very much.
We thank you for this. We look forward. Did you get any dates out of this, incidentally?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But the night is young.
The night is young.
All right. Good of you to come into TVO tonight,
Thank
Zach.
you very
Thanks
much
so much
for having me.